Hey there, super friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Wednesday, December 20th, 2017. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow, or you can always reach out directly with an email to lastpointgaming@gmail.com. Sorry, there was confusingness in my parking lot. And also, as I've been announcing lately, I have been pushing the episodes to YouTube. So if you want an easy way to subscribe to us, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. So there you go. So yesterday there were dots that I was not trying to connect. They got connected anyway. That I kind of devolved. And I wound up in the end talking about cosplay and everything else. So since that's all there, oh man, I could have made that by like 2 miles, dude. It looked like you were coming much faster than you were. God damn it. Since it ended out that way anyway, I'm gonna talk about the timeline of things as I know it, kind of. So, also, the Breitbart article today. Oh my god, like really? Just really? Yeah, I got like zero respect for Breitbart, so yeah. Hot take, hope I don't lose followers. But I actually seem to have a lot of very right-wing followers. I don't know how I feel about that. It is not that, like, I necessarily believe that political affiliations have to factor into any of this. I actually kind of feel like they shouldn't, but God, anything in the center, both sides hates and likes different sides of it. I guess whichever there's more, I don't know. I'm rambling now. So, one of the things that Jeremy took exception to and ranted about concerning Sprinkle was the video she did back in February. She did literally cry. But, oh, god damn it.
Call rejected.
But I don't think it was like a manipulation tactic or anything. I think she cried because it's something she's really passionate about, and also I think she's young and very starry-eyed, and you know, it's an odd thing we do with kids, honestly, where it's pursue your passions, chase your dreams, don't give up, don't settle, right up until you hit adulthood, and then it's, god damn it, get a fucking real job. Like, there is no transition period, it seems, with most kids between the, oh, so you want to be an artist? Cool, be an artist. Up until you've graduated high school and, you know, either want to go to college for an art degree or, you know, are trying to make it as an artist and most likely not doing very well in that, because art is one of those fields that you're either amazing, and that is subjective. So amazing to the right people with the amount of money to drop on it, or you're unemployed. I don't really advocate people try to go into artistic fields professionally. But, you know, hey, some portion of them make it. You know, but at the same time, one of my BFFs, Dodger, like, oh, son of a bitch. God damn it. You know, I really liked my old dash mount until the goddamn button popped off. This thing is always dropping my fucking phone. Hopefully I'm still recording. I don't know. I'm in the middle of driving in like a 50 mile an hour zone, so I can't really check. Oh, and of course the light screen couldn't be red. It's red every other day, but sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, looks like I'm still recording. Oh, well, this light's red. Do not try to merge in front of me, dickhead. Well, that was exciting. I mean, to be fair, it may also be that my new phone is bigger than my old phone, so maybe between the phone and the protective case, it's just too much for a dash mount to handle. I don't know. Anyway, though, so Dodger's a musician. And, you know, he moved away and is pursuing his passion and everything, but at the same time, he has a regular job too. So I'm of mixed opinion. Like, I really hope he makes it big. You know, I really like the guy. You know, I don't think there's a person more deserving, maybe a couple people as deserving of, you know, getting a big break, you know, as he is, but at the same time, you know, he's being practical about it. He's not like, oh, well, I'm just gonna save up some money, move to this place, and hope for the best. But Sprinkle is, I think she's in like her early 20s. She's young, she's pursuing a passion, she's pursuing her art. And honestly, all she really said in this video was, yeah, so the wheels fell off, you know, my life took a turn, things changed. Somehow she was back living with her mom. I don't know what all that's about, and, you know, honestly, it's not my business. But she's like, yep, I'm broke. I had to move back in with my mom while I'm trying to get shit together. She talked about how she wasn't being paid for most of her appearances, like reimbursed at all for travel, for, you know, costume supplies, let alone being paid anything above and beyond that. Now, on that note, again, I've mixed feelings because, hey, when I go to play in tournaments, nobody, you know, foots the bill for me. But, so, you know, from the hobby standpoint, like, well, I mean, it is kind of your hobby, and you gotta fund your own hobby. But at the same time, though, I have seen many GP trailer commercials, things during live coverage, some from SCG, some not from SCG, and I think even when SCG was running the GPs, like they were still like the WotC commercials, because they it seemed like the same announcer for those and the ones I saw on WotC coverage. But in any case, she was shouted out as a, yeah, come play in our GP and come see our Artist Alley featuring this artist who, you know, commonly changed, and featured cosplayer Christine Sprinkle. When somebody uses your name and image to try to accrue more attendance at an event, to, you know, say, hey, here's another good reason to come here. I mean, the person who you're, you know, putting up there really deserves a cut of that, you know? Like, when you're using that as a selling point, clearly you've decided that there's value enough to it and that it attracts enough players to be willing to put that shout out there. Because you're not just, they don't say, hey, come to GPDC. You know, Joey from Last Point Gaming's going to be here playing. No, they don't do that with just anybody. They do that for people who they think will command a bigger audience. So if that's the case, then yeah, no, she should be paid. When you're a featured headliner, you know, I feel like that is an indication that they've determined that this may increase their attendance, and therefore she's entitled to a cut of any of that. Well, entitled is a bad word there, because it has an inherently negative connotation, but I feel like that means she's deserving of a cut of some of those sales that you wouldn't have gotten without headlining her. So it is a kind of mixed bag, because it is an artistic expression, and, in some ways it's a hobby, but at the same time, I'm sure with them headlining that she would be there if she would then not come because, say, she couldn't afford it, couldn't afford to get the costume finished in time, be it because she couldn't afford supplies or she didn't have time because she had to pick up a job because nobody's paying her for her craft. I'm sure they'd be annoyed. Be like, but you agreed to be at this event. I think anytime that there's a contract where you are committing yourself to be somewhere, there should be some negotiated fee. Like, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about that. So as far as her video where she, basically told her Patreons, like, well, her fans, like, hey, here's the deal. I have landed flat on my ass here. Carpet got ripped out from under me. Whatever happened to lead from her life going from, yeah, this is a thing I can do, to, shit. She, basically said, here's the deal. I either need support or I'm going to have to leave cosplay. Like, I'm just not going to be able to do this anymore. Which seemed a fair thing to say to people who were fans of her. Like, hey, you guys like me and you like what I do and everything. If you want to continue to see it, I'm going to need support from viewers like you. I mean, PBS does it 4 times a year. Tote bags of temptation. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I mean, the fact that she got very emotional about it, clearly something was going on. And as somebody who had to contemplate it at one point, moving back in with the parents always feels like a failure, It feels like I couldn't hack it out there in the real world, and so now I gotta go crying back like a child. And it's a major blow to the ego. So she got emotional about it. Okay, fine. Whatever. Fine. I don't think that's necessarily something to roast her over. And the same that I say about, if you don't like what Jeremy has to say, don't go watch his fucking videos. Same kind of applies here. If you don't like what she has to say, don't go watch her fucking videos. You're not her fan anyway. Like, what is it with people and hate watching shit? Do you, not have anything better to do with your time? It blows my mind. But in any case. So as far as the initial video that was mentioned throughout shots he took at her, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I honestly don't. And the fact of the matter is, if she didn't have the community support, if there weren't people that valued what she did enough to pay her. Now, I'd mentioned that cosplay doesn't really add anything for me. So if they were like, well, okay, we can keep getting cosplayers to come, but we're going to have to raise tournament fees by $20, I'd be like, can we not? Can I, just not go near the cosplayers and pay the regular fee? Because, yeah, it was cool to run into Nahiri down at Baltimore and everything, but I wouldn't have paid extra for it. But that's my personal take. Clearly, there were enough people that felt she added, value to the community, that liked what she did enough that they wanted to support it, and they threw money at her. You cannot agree with their choices, and that's cool, but the same as flip it or rip it, being, I may not agree with it, but it's their money, they get to do what they want with it. I subscribe to Todd Stevens' Twitch stream, because he seems to be one of the more active streamers. And he's funny when he's sober, and he's also quite funny when he's been drinking. Plus, he's been dragging Ross Miriam on there with him, and I've developed a real love of Ross lately. So, yeah, I pay my $5 a month to subscribe to him. You may not like Todd Stevens. You may not feel that watching his stream adds any value to your life, and therefore you're not willing to pay money for it, and that's cool. It's cool. We get to make different decisions. There are plenty of people, like, sometimes when I talk to the guys at work, when I got that bonus from work, and I pretty much dropped like 90% of it on picking up my 4 Noble Hierarchs and my 4 Cavern of Souls. And, we were talking about, so what'd you do with your bonus? And I'm like, I got 8 magic cards. And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, whoa, what the hell? I'm like, I really need these cards, yo. I need them for this deck that I rarely ever get a chance to play. There are guys, actually I went to lunch with 2 of my colleagues today. This is my last day for the week, so my one colleague that I usually go with on Fridays, he had plans with one of our other colleagues, and they let me tag along, and they spent a fair portion of it talking about their fantasy football leagues. And the one guy, tall man, said, he just lost like, I don't know, $1,000 or something, because his fantasy team started doing like shitty or not as good. I don't know. I don't really get fantasy football, but like, he's basically in the losers bracket now. So he's like, yeah, I'm just out like $1,000. And I look at that and I'm like, why would you pay to what? Everybody has different interests. They have different things that they value in life. Hell, I'm up to paying like, I don't know, $30 or so a month in subscription fees to do this podcast that I seem to max out at about 30 listeners on. But it's something I enjoy doing with my time, so I do it. Now, I do have a full-time job. I like my full-time job. I'm not trying to stop working and, say, hey, pay me to keep doing this podcast. Well, I mean, really, do I give anybody content that they'd be willing to pay for? I kind of doubt it. That's my view of it. Maybe if it was like, oh, I'm going to travel to events more, and I'm going to do like live casts from events or whatever. I don't even know. I don't know what value I could add to this because it's still me talking. If I set up a Patreon, and people chose to put money into it, that's their call. I also like the idea of like paid time off and insurance and all kinds of other benefits I get from my job. So I'm not planning on quitting my job to do anything like this full time anytime soon. But it's even like when I graduated from college. I had a freelance client I was working with, and they were difficult to work with. And that's kind of where I decided, I'm like, I just need to go get a real job where somebody says, I want you to do this, because this working with clients it's rough. A lot of times, client has no idea what they want until you show them something, and then they still don't know what they want so much as they know they don't want that. And it's going back to the drawing board 50 times and trying again and getting just unconstructive feedback of, well, I hate this color. Okay, cool. What colors do you like better? I don't know, but not this one. Great. I only have 10,000 more hex codes I can try. Do you like a blue? Like some variant of blue? You at least narrow it down to like 100 or so hex codes? No, nothing? Great. But, I did have a minimum salary requirement that if I was making less than that, for what I would be paying in daycare and work costs, both travel costs to get back and forth to work and things we have to basically, like, I don't have time to be home cooking from scratch every night and everything anymore. And, paying somebody to cut my hair and not just doing my do-it-yourself hack job because I have a appearance quota I have to meet. There are a lot of expenses involved with me working that if I'm not working, we save like $20,000 a year. well, not so much anymore, but when the kids were in full-time daycare. So, I had a minimum salary that anything under that, I would be barely breaking even, or possibly even with, taxes and everything, working for a deficit. And so if I was in that position, well, then I'd just keep freelancing, because really anything I brought in then was profit. So, we all hit these points in our life where we have to make these decisions. She wanted to try to keep going with cosplay. And it's great. She got a bunch of Patreon subscribers and everything. She, got that boost. Now, there is a parallel being drawn to when she announced she was leaving, and a steep decline over those months in her Patreon support. Is this cause and effect? I see that argument, and I see where to some it would make logical sense. But here's my takeaway on it. Being in the public eye will get you harassed and bullied. It's like the bullshit reality of it. We've all seen I think it's Jimmy Kimmel that does the mean tweets where celebrities read mean tweets about them. Yeah. Whenever you put yourself out there, there will be detractors who feel the need to spread the word to the world that they don't like you because whatever reason. And a lot of it's superficial bullshit. Sometimes it's like legitimate garbage human being behavior. Like Weinstein is a good example of that one. Where it's like, oh, you victimize other people. You abuse your position of power. Yeah, you're a horrible person. I won't support you, and I'm going to talk smack. Other times it's, I don't know why everybody thinks she's so pretty, because I don't personally find her sexually attractive. Okay, good for you. Do you got anything quantifiable with that? No? Alright. So, yeah, being in the public eye, unfortunately, leads to this. For people that seem to believe it only happens to women, recent studies have actually shown, based on what I've seen, I haven't looked too deep into it, and I'm just going to admit that now, that men actually experience more online harassment than women. Just women are more bothered by it. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the reasoning, but there have been studies that show that, and let's not even say, let's not play the who's got it worse game, but just say that it happens to all, public personalities. Like I said before, I purposefully do not look at the chat in Twitch when I'm watching live streaming. Why? Well, when I'm watching tournament coverage. Most of the individual streamers I subscribe to or, keep an eye out for, their chat's fine. But, when it comes to the SCG Open coverage or WotC event coverage, the chat's vile, and it really doesn't matter who's on screen. It's not like, oh, everybody's happy sunshine land until a woman steps on screen and then people get awful. They're awful to everybody. So, okay. She is in a public view. She is in a very appearance-related field. She is an artist, and she is her own canvas. People are going to make comments. And it's shitty, and it sucks, but it's going to happen. People are going to say that, wow, she really doesn't have the body to cosplay Liliana, or whatever else. And I'm not saying that that's how I feel. I think she looked good in all the costumes I saw her in. Her Chandra's pretty fucking amazing, actually. But people will make comments, people will harass. To say it all comes from Jeremy, I think, is not accurate, but he definitely doesn't help, and I will totally grant that point. But could be a break-even analysis point. Could be when she experienced the first dip, that's when she started applying to schools, because there is the rumors out right now that the reason she's quitting cosplaying isn't because of harassment, but because she got accepted into a school. I think people are failing to see a multifaceted decision. That it could be these things contributed to her saying, you know what, shit just ain't worth it. Like, I'm just fucking tired of dealing with this shit. I'm losing Patreon, so the income's not worth it anymore. I'm back to the point where, you know, maybe she's barely breaking even in costume construction and travel fees and everything else, let alone having money to live off of. Like, I'm just not bringing it in. Vendors, or, you know, TOs aren't paying me for my appearances. And I'm losing Patreons, and I'm catching flack, and, like, this is just all kind of bullshit, and this is just not something I want to put up with anymore, so, oh, look, I got accepted into a school, cool. You know what? Peace out, motherfuckers. Y'all assholes. This could have all contributed to this decision, but it doesn't mean that harassment and bullying that was directed at her, again, I'm not saying it comes from a single source here. I'm saying that, in general, that with everything directed at her, she's just like, you know what, this has stopped being fun. And that's entirely possible. So these links people are coming up with, like, oh, she's got a dip in Patreon and she got accepted into school. Could that be why she decided to quit? It could have been the things that, you know, those straws that broke the camel's back, so to speak, of, you know what? Just no. Just not anymore. I mean, I've had, you know, jobs that, like, it was just one more fucking loudmouth kid when I was waiting tables, or one more just dickhead customers when I was a cashier. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to look for another job. I find another job and I quit. What is the reason I quit? Because I can't take the fucking clientele. I can't. I'm just, like, I don't have the patience for this, and it's only a matter of time before I pour a pot of coffee on somebody, and I'm in trouble, because, you know, that results in injury. But to say, oh, well, I see that you got another job, so that's the reason you're leaving. Well, yeah, that's the thing that finally gave me what I needed to say, you know what, fuck this noise. What are you fucking doing? But to say that that's the only reason, no, it's not. It's just what I needed to come through for me, so I can say, okay, I can be done with this now. So, I mean, as far as the whole Sprinkle situation, again, I can't in good conscience say that I believe that all the harassment and bullying she faced came from that one single source. She was a public figure, and it doesn't even matter that she was a woman, for the most part, because people will rip on anybody. But, you know, as far as this linking a dip in her Patreon and getting accepted into college and, you know, whatever else too, well, this is why she really quit, and then she just irresponsibly went and blamed it on people harassing her. No, she was probably looking into other options, either because she noticed the Patreon starting to dip, because of the crap she took as a public figure, or both contributed to it. Yeah, the whole situation's still just a mess, and I still just kind of wish it would go away. But that's my thoughts on that. I just wanted to clear that up, because yesterday I did end up talking about how, you know, cosplay doesn't really do it for me as far as tournaments are concerned. Like, no, I don't think I'm going to go to this tournament. What? There's going to be cosplayers there? Oh, cool, then I'm totally going to go. But I want to make sure it's clear that I'm not saying that means there's anything wrong with cosplayers, or anything wrong with people who like cosplayers, or anything wrong with people who choose to support cosplayers by donating through a source like Patreon. So, there you have it. That's all I got. I'm off work the next 2 days, so I'm gonna probably try to fit in 2 recordings tomorrow, because I know husband took off Friday so that we can celebrate our wedding anniversaries coming up. But it's very close to Christmas, so with all the holiday stuff going on, we kind of have to shift when we celebrate it. But I'll probably try to do 2 tomorrow, just so I'm sure I don't run out of time on Friday, especially this is Booze Week to go to F&M with me, so I won't even have a chance to, like, do one while going to F&M or anything. So, with all that being said, as always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to y'all later.